Here we are talking to Dean Blandino, Fox NFL and college football rules analyst, kind enough to join us. All right, Dean, what do you take away from that play?
Yeah, it's certainly, look, this has been a point of emphasis. We've been talking about taunting. I always try to put myself in my old role. Okay, put yourself in the position of the official. And from where Tony Corrente's standing, he sees Marsh kind of walk toward the bench. Maybe he thinks he's talking to Harvin, the punter, and it looks to him like taunting. It's been this point of emphasis, and he's going to throw his flag. Then you get the hip check, which I have a hard time explaining that. I just think we've gone too far with this. You know, Tony mentioned in his pool report that he was posturing. Look, to me, it looked like Marsh, maybe he might have said something. I mean, he's 30 yards away. This isn't right at the bench area where he's jawing, getting up in somebody's face. I'd love to see more of him in somebody's face, especially in that situation where it's a first down for the Steelers. That's a tough one. And then you get the contact at the end, which is really difficult to explain.
Do you think that the official tried to make contact with Cassius Marsh?
If you sit here and ask me, do I think he intentionally? I would say no. I would say absolutely, under no circumstances, he trying to make contact with Marsh. But you watch the video, and it certainly looks like that way. I'm not in Tony's head. I don't know. I'd be shocked if that were the case. But you watch the video, and I'm not going to sit here and say some people won't think that. I don't think that's the case, but it's tough with the video the way it looked.
I just didn't understand the timing of it, Dean, because if he did taunt, okay, there was ample time to throw the flag for taunting.
Sure.
The flag didn't really come out and go into the air until they made contact with each other.
Yeah, and Tony was very clear that the contact had nothing to do with the flag. And, but if anything, it was Tony. Maybe he lost his balance. I don't know. It just didn't look good. But again, he's processing it. Maybe he's giving Marsh the opportunity. Okay, is he going to keep walking toward the bench area? I'm going to give him a chance to walk away, let it play out. It is a big situation in the game. And I guess he felt that it crossed the line, and now he's going to throw the flag, and then you get the contact. It's just not a good deal when we're sitting here talking about something like that, when we should be talking about, like you said, the Steelers, trying to put the Bears away, the Bears with a great comeback, and we end up having an exciting finish. Because
what would have happened if it was reverse, Dean?
Oh, ejection, disqualification, out of the game, no question.
Yeah. I know that they're calling this, and there's an emphasis for this, but what was the groundswell that said, we've got to call these, we've got to really emphasize the taunting here?
Yeah, and this has happened before at my time at the NFL. This came from the coaches subcommittee, which is a committee that works with the competition committee. It's made up of head coaches. Andy Reid is the chair. There's coaches like Brian Flores and Mike Vrabel, Vrabel's going to move to the competition committee next year. And they had voiced some concern about the sportsmanship and a kind of a lack of sportsmanship and more of the in-your-face taunting type stuff that wasn't getting called. And so I can understand that. If you feel like there's actions that are not being called that are fouls by definition in the rule book, and we want to clean that up, that's great. And that's important. And we want to make sure, right? It's player safety, number one, sportsmanship, number two, and then competitive equity, number three. But it feels like we've almost gone to a new standard for taunting, that now it's not so much cleaning up what we thought we were missing. Now it's like anything that could be directed at an opponent posturing, we're getting flags, and the flags are up significantly. It's not like we have 4 or 5 flags a game. It's still less than 1 a game, but it just feels like the standard has changed. And I'm not sure if the competition committee is comfortable with that. Great, then they're not going to have to make any adjustments. But I'm not sure if they're going to be comfortable at the end of the year when they look at the whole picture.
Yeah, I don't want to put more on the officials' plates. I don't want them to adjudicate, I got to read into what is intent here. I mean, it's already tough. It's the toughest sport to officiate. And now we've added intent. And I just think I'm worried that we're going to get to a playoff game, Dean. Like, this is a standalone regular season game. That's why we're talking about it. If this is a wild card game and you had a play like this, a moment like this, That's how rules get changed. But this is, then there's a big deal with, implications, money on it from gambling. There's just, I don't know. I think they need to de-emphasize taunting. The officials get together here, halfway point of the regular season. Let's hit a reset button here, like we've done with holding before or pass interference before, where we maybe, we slow it down a little bit.
That's certainly possible. And then the competition committee has done that before, like you mentioned, with holding. We've seen that in previous years. And to give the officials, I think the officials have been really good over the years in understanding what is taunting and what is just the normal emotion, the normal kind of back and forth that happens during the game. They've been really good at that. And this feels like you said, we've given them another thing on their plate. And now, look, they're being told on training tapes every week, these taunting plays are highlighted. These are calls we need to get, and it's hammered in. So if you have somebody telling you, hey, you got to get these taunting calls, you're going to go out and you're going to look for that stuff. And that's what I feel like is happening to some extent. I feel like the officials are really good when you give them some discretion, say, hey, get the big ones, get the ones that's in your face, the obvious unsportsmanlike stuff, and the other stuff, the emotional stuff. Let's let the game let that continue in the game. Let's not have 15-yard penalties impact games.
We're talking to Dean Blandino, Fox NFL and college football rules analyst. But you can see the Steelers defense run 60 yards together collectively down to the end zone, slide into the end zone, and take a snapshot. I can watch Lamar Jackson do a cartwheel into the end zone or a somersault. That's not taunting?
I know. And this has been, I remember talking to coaches, Bill Belichick, and he had the same thing. He said, we're letting everybody run into the end zone and doing these celebrations. And then we're going to ask the players on the other side to kind of temper their emotions. And it's kind of, you can't have it both ways. And again, the emotion is good. The league is so cognizant of they do not like, there are people at 345 Park that do not like when they are called the no fun league. They don't like it. And so they're trying to allow the celebrations, allow some of that emotion. And now you turn around and you get a play like this or an emphasis like this that seems to be trying to keep the emotions in check. It's tough. It's tough when you tell players one thing in one area and then in another area, hey, you got to turn around and just walk away. Don't do anything that's going to give the official an opportunity to throw the flag. How
often do officials get together at halftime and maybe stress, overemphasize, or de-emphasize something that's happened in the game?
Oh yeah, halftime is for the officials is no different than the players, the coaches, right? You make halftime adjustments as a coach, with the players. Officials will do that. They'll talk about what's the tenor of the first half, right? Is the game getting out of control? Is the game under control? Are we doing, nothing really we have to adjust? So they'll have that conversation at halftime. Not that we're gonna change how we officiate the game and the standard, right? That should be consistent. But certainly if certain things have happened in the first half that we need to be careful about, we need to adjust to, they're going to have that conversation during halftime and, so they can go out in the second half and make sure that everything stays under control.
NFL do anything today?
I don't know. For me, I think about myself in my old spot, and I would have had a long conversation with Tony Corrente last night about that game, and that's never good. And so they're going to review everything. They're going to go through it. I don't know what's going to come out of that. I don't know if there's any further discipline or anything else from the game.
But if you were in your old spot, Dean, and you're having a conversation with Tony Corrente after last night's game, what would you want to know?
I'd want to know, hey, I've known Tony Corrente a long time, and he's a great man. He's been a great official for a long time. I go, Tony, what the heck happened on that taunting? Why did you bump the player? What happened? Talk to me. Tell me what happened. I want to hear his perspective, right? Because I don't think he did it intentionally, but what happened? What was going through your mind? What was the thought process? Why did you throw the flag? How did that all play out? Let's talk about the low block that you called earlier in the game. Let's talk about any other issues. Any issues with the coaches. We're just going to go through it because I wouldn't want to make any decisions on anything before talking to him, talking to the crew and getting their perspective, because this is it's a hard job. Like you said, this is one of the toughest professions in not just sports and the evaluation, the scrutiny that they're under. It's so intense. And look, sometimes we mess it up. Sometimes we screwed up. I screwed up when I was at the league office. But there's a lot riding on these games, and you want to make sure that those, you limit those times when there are mess ups.
Ever have a head coach call you to complain about an official?
Yeah, all the time. I had a head coach call me on Monday to complain about an official, and I'm no longer at the league office. So it's that happens all the time. And look, head coaches understand for the most part. They understand officials are going to make mistakes, right? They know coaches make mistakes, players make mistakes, officials make mistakes. What they don't tolerate, what they don't want is when it's poor communication, right? If I'm on the sideline and I can't get an answer from an official or a referee about something, if the communication is terse or it's disrespectful or anything like that, that's when coaches have a problem. And that's when it becomes about one official. It's not this official missed a hold. That's going to happen. It's this official isn't communicating with me. This official didn't give me the opportunity to understand what was going on, and that happens quite a bit when coaches have that conversation.
Do you think Ed Hockley will get enough credit for his arms and how jacked they were, and the fact that he had his outfit enhanced that? I mean, he's the godfather of the party pump before a game.
He is, and I hope that's not Ed's legacy, because I think as we talk about communication, Ed was excellent at communicating. There were referees over the years, Johnny Greer, Gene Steratore comes to mind, Ed Hockley, that communicated with coaches. I never had an issue with a coach telling me that Ed Hockley didn't communicate. They might have said he's asked about his tailor and if his tailor needed glasses because of the way the shirt was cut, but Ed was great from a communication standpoint, and he really did a nice job in that area.
Oh, nobody cares about communicating. His legacy is the guns, and you know that, Dean.
We're seeing that at all levels now. The college officials now have the Ed cut going. Have you watch some of these games?
I think there should be testing. I'm just saying that,
I know.
no accusations, but just the eye test here, Dean. See some guys a little bit jacked up here. Hey, thanks for joining us on short notice. Great to talk to you again, bud.
You got it, Dan. Thanks.
Thank you. That's Dean Blandino, Fox NFL and college football rules analyst.